Now as we saw, the curvature-based mesh applied higher mesh density to all curvatures in our model. And this is not what we want. So for example, we want to select on which surfaces, edges, we want to create denser elements. And usually those surfaces will be with the highest aspect ratio and in the region where we expect the highest stresses. For that, we can use Apply Mesh Control. Applying mesh control to local regions allow us to create a fine mesh with high number of elements where we anticipated high stresses. So where we have a smaller size elements, the higher the accuracy of the calculation is. So it's always the balance on one hand with number of elements and the other hand with the shape of the elements. So now let's go to mesh. Let's right click and let's click here Apply Mesh Control. Like this. And first here we have to choose faces, edges, vertices where we want to apply mesh control. And since the highest stresses will be here, let's choose this edge. Like this. Now here we have to choose element size. Let's go with 1.4. Like this. And let's click OK. Now let's go to our mesh. Now as we see, we have here a new folder, Mesh Controls. If we open this, we have here Control 1. Now let's go to our mesh. Let's right click, Create Mesh. And let's go with Standard Default Mesh, Reset. And let's go to Standard. Automatic Transition Off, and let's click OK. And now if we look at our mesh, we see that around this edge we have smaller elements. And in the other regions of this model, the elements are the same size. So let's go to Mesh, right click, Details, and we have total nodes 15,000, and this is pretty much good. But look at our maximum aspect ratio, 16.325, and this is not really good. And the time is 3 seconds, that's good. Let's see where we have the maximum aspect ratio. Let's double click on the mesh quality. So the maximum aspect ratio is on this edge here. And here we have a problem on this side and on this side as well. So maybe we should apply the mesh control on those two edges. So let's go to Control, right click, and edit definition. So we have edge 1. Let's add this edge here, and let's add this edge here. Let's click OK. Now let's go to Mesh, create a mesh. We have standard values, and OK. And now as you see, we also have now smaller elements on this edge and this edge. Now let's go to Mesh, Details. So the number of total nodes is more than 18,000, but the maximum aspect ratio is 4.6, and this is really good, and the time is 3 seconds. So this is so far the best result that we got. We got the maximum aspect ratio below 5, and we don't have so much total nodes. In the first case we had 13,000, now we have 18,000, but in some cases we had 80,000. So this is pretty good. So let's see where is this maximum aspect ratio. Let's double click here. So the maximum aspect ratio is still here, but this is 4.6, and this is pretty good. So this is acceptable for us, and we're gonna accept this. And now we are pretty much sure that we're gonna get pretty much good results of stresses, displacement, and strain. So remember, when you create a mesh, on the one hand, you have number of elements. You don't wanna have a lot of elements because that increases time and memory. But also, where you have smaller elements, then you have better accuracy. Especially you want to have smaller elements in area where you predicted high stresses because you want to get a good results in these regions. So pay attention to the total nodes, maximum aspect ratio, the area where you predicted the maximum stresses, and the time of the calculation.